Hi guys, this is Homer Price, Chapter 1, Part 2, and when we left off, Homer had his skunk Aroma on his bike and was taking him back home after the skunk had scared the robbers away. Homer was very thoughtful while he did the odd jobs that afternoon. He thought he had better tell his mother what had happened up on the mountain. His father had gone into the city to buy some things that were needed around the place, and he would not be back until late that night. At dinner time, he was just about to tell her when she said, "I think I smell a skunk around here. I'll tell your father when he gets home. We will have to get rid of that animal right away, because people will not want to spend the night at our tourist camp if we have that smell around." Then Homer decided not to say anything about it because he didn't want his father to get rid of Aroma, and because the robbers would no doubt get caught by the state police anyway. That evening, Homer was taking care of the gas station and helping his mother while his father was in the city. In between cooking hamburgers and putting gas in cars, he read the Radio Builders magazine and looked at the pictures in the mail order catalog. About 8 o'clock, 4 men got out of a car and said, "We would like to rent a tourist cabin for the night." Homer said, "All right, follow me," and he led the way to one of the largest cabins. "I think you will be comfortable here," he said, "and that will be $4 in advance, please." "Here's a $5 bill, buddy. You can keep the change," said one of the men. "Thanks," said Homer as he stuffed the bill in his pocket and hurried out the door because there was a car outside honking for gas. He was just about to put the $5 bill in the cash register when he smelled that strange mixture, partly the distinctive invigorating smell that keeps you on your toes, meaning the aftershave lotion, and partly Aroma, the skunk. He sniffed the bill, and sure enough, that was what he had smelled. "The robbers! Those 4 men are the robbers," said Homer to himself. He decided that he had better call up the sheriff and tell him everything. He knew that the sheriff would be down at the barber shop in Centerburg playing checkers and talking politics with his friends, this being Saturday night. He waited until his mother was busy getting an extra blanket for someone because he did not think it was necessary to frighten her. Then he called the barber shop and asked to talk to the sheriff. "Hello," said Homer to the sheriff. "Those 4 robbers are spending the night out here at our tourist camp. Why don't you come out and arrest them?" "Well, I'll be switched," said the sheriff. "Have they got the money and the lotion with them?" "Yes, they brought it," said Homer. "Well, have they got their guns along too?" asked the sheriff. "I don't know, but if you hold the line a minute, I'll slip out and look," said Homer. He slipped out and peeped through the window of the robbers' cabin. They were getting undressed, and their guns were lying on the table and on the chairs and under the bed and on the dresser. There were lots of guns. Homer slipped back and told the sheriff they must have a dozen or 2. The sheriff said, "They have, huh? Well, I tell you, Sonny, I'm just about to get my hair cut, so you just sort of keep your eye on 'em, and I'll be out there in about an hour or so. That'll give them time to get to sleep. Then some of the boys and me can walk right in and snap the bracelets on them." "Okay, see you later, Sheriff," said Homer. Later, when his mother came in, Homer said, "Mother, I have some very important business. Do you think that you could take care of things for a while?" "Well, I think so, Homer," said his mother, "but don't stay away too long." Homer slipped up to a window in the robber's cabin and started keeping an eye on them. They were just getting into bed, and they were not in a very good humor because they had been arguing about how to divide the money in the 6 bottles of lotion that were left. They were afraid, too, that one of the 4 might get up in the night and run away with the suitcase with the money and the lotion in it. They finally decided to sleep all 4 in one bed because if one of them got out of bed, it would surely wake the others. It was a tight fit, but they all managed to get into bed and get themselves covered up. And there they are, all in the bed. They put the suitcase with the money and the lotion inside right in the middle of the bed. After they had turned out the light, it was very quiet for a long while. Then the first robber said, "You know, this ain't so comfortable sleeping 4 in a bed." "I know," the second robber said, "but it's better than sleeping in the woods where there are mosquitoes and funny little animals that don't smell so nice," added the third robber. You must admit, though, that our present condition could be described as being a trifle overcrowded, said the one with the college education. Them's my feelings exactly, said the first robber. We might as well start driving to Mexico because we can't sleep like this. We might as well ride toward the border. No, driving at night makes me nervous, said the second robber. Me too, said the third. Then there followed a long argument with the first and third robbers trying to convince the second and fourth robbers that they should go to Mexico right away. While they were arguing, Homer thought very hard. He guessed that something had better be done pretty quick, or the robbers might decide to go before the sheriff got his hair cut. He thought of a plan, and without making a sound, he slipped away from the window and hurried to Aroma's hole under the house. He whistled softly, and Aroma came out and climbed into the basket. Aroma had calmed down considerably, but she still smelled pretty strong. Homer quietly carried the basket to the spot under the robber's window and listened. They were still arguing about the trip to Mexico. They didn't notice Homer as he put the basket through the window onto the chair beside the bed. Of course, Aroma immediately crawled out of the bed and took her place on the suitcase. Stop tickling, said the tall robber, because his feet stuck out and Aroma's tail was resting on his toes. I'm not tickling you, said the second robber, but say, I think I still smell that animal. Now that you mention it, I seem to smell it too, said the third robber. The fourth robber reached for the light button, saying, That settles it. Let's get dressed and go to Mexico, because I think I smell that animal too. Then, as the robber turned on the light, Homer shouted, You do smell that animal, and please don't make any sudden movements because he excites easily. The robbers took one look and pulled the covers over their heads. The sheriff will be here in a few minutes, said Homer bravely. But 5 minutes later, the sheriff had not shown up. The robbers were getting restless, and Aroma was tapping her foot and getting excited. Homer began to be disturbed about what his mother would say if Aroma smelled up one of her largest and best tourist cabins, so he quickly thought of a plan. He climbed through the window, he gathered up all of the guns and put them in the basket. Then he gathered up the robbers' clothes and tossed them out of the window. After picking out one of the larger guns, Homer waved it in the direction of the robbers and said, You may come out from under the covers now and hold up your hands. The robbers gingerly lifted the covers and peeped out. Then they carefully climbed out of bed so as not to disturb Aroma and put up their hands. We didn't mean to do it, mumbled the first robber. And we'll give the money back, said the second robber. Our early environment is responsible for our actions, said the educated robber. I'm sorry, Homer said, but I'll have to take you to the sheriff. He motioned with the gun and demanded that the fourth robber pick up the suitcase with the prize money and lotion inside. Then he said, Forward, march! Must we go in our pajamas? Cried one. And without our shoes? Wailed another. Aroma is getting excited, Homer reminded them, and the robbers started marching without any more arguing, and they did grumble and groan about walking on gravel with bare feet. Robbers aren't accustomed to going without shoes. And they couldn't have run away even if Homer and Aroma hadn't been there to guard them. And there they are. First came the first robber with his hands up, then the second robber with his hands up, then the third robber with his hands up, and then the fourth robber with his right hand up and his left hand down, carrying the suitcase. Of course, Aroma followed the suitcase, and last of all came Homer, carrying the basket with a dozen or two guns in it. He marched them straight down Route 56A and up the main street of Centerburg. They turned into the barber shop where the sheriff was getting his hair cut, and the boys were sitting around playing checkers. When the sheriff saw them come in the door, he stopped talking about the World Series and said, Well, I'll be switched. If it ain't the Robio Raiders, I mean radio robbers. The sheriff got out of the barber chair with his hair cut up one side and not cut up the other, and put handcuffs on the men and led them off to jail. Well, there isn't much more to tell. The newspapers told the story and had headlines saying, Boy and pet skunk trap shaving lotion robbers by smell. And the news commentators on the radio told about it too. Homer's father and mother said that Homer could keep Aroma for a pet because instead of hurting business, Aroma has doubled business. People for miles around are coming to the crossroads where 56 meets 56A just to buy gasoline and to eat a hamburger or a home-cooked dinner and to see Aroma. The next time Homer went into Centerburg to get a haircut, he talked the whole thing over again with the sheriff. "Yep," said the sheriff, that was sure one swell job of swelling. I mean, one swell job of smelling." The end. Until chapter 2 tomorrow. It's called The Case of the Cosmic Comic. All about comic books. Hope you guys liked it. I love you.